good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Wildcat Way Show. My name is Carrie E. Valance.
And I'm Kendall Lumpkins. Welcome to the newly dropped episode of the Wildcat Way Show, a show in which we hope encourages and inspires all who are listening or watching on our YouTube or podcast.
Now, the Wildcat Way Show is a new episode this month, and we are going into a full year that we've been dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic. As much as we're thankful that we have gotten through it and we both remained healthy and our families have as well, we do know a lot of people that have been impacted by this, both personally and professionally. And it's just really been a huge impact on our nation and worldwide, so I'm really looking forward and excited about seeing the light at the end of the tunnel right now. I just hope people keep following the guidelines, getting vaccinated. So we just wanted to kind of share our thoughts about that and keep encouraging our Wildcat family to move forward safely as we're starting to open up everything again.
Yeah, Carrie, when you said a year, like I can remember where I was when the entire whole pandemic happened, right? So it was like when this whole mass outbreak happened and everybody was like, look, we're gonna shut the city, shut the state, shut the entire nation down.
Right.
Like, so I can't believe it's been a year.
And for 2 weeks was what everybody kept saying. I remember we here at the college, we were making preparations for spring break because it was Friday the 13th. We were leaving for spring break for a week and we were like, okay, we're probably gonna have to shut down for a week. Let's see what's gonna happen. And then by mid spring break, we were like, we're gonna extend spring break for another week. And then we just didn't come back for months and months until we were able to kind of this summer start slowly trickling back onto campus.
Yeah, and so when you bring that up, like sports shut down, school shut down.
Right.
And so when I think you mentioned talking about people being affected by it, like just imagine those students, those parents that didn't get a chance to experience their last of high school senior, their last of a senior in college, or their last as a sophomore at a junior college, right? Like, so that's tough. That's tough, and we made it through a year, and I'm thankful that we've gotten to this place, right? And there's so much that I've learned, so much that I've gained throughout this process, and I think we want to share some of those things just to share that light at the end of the tunnel perspective, right? To let them know, like, we made it this far, we can keep going.
I think it's important to note that, we're adults, we have children that we're still raising. I was so blown away by what I thought the resiliency and the determination that the younger generation, our students here at PRCC, the seniors in high school, every one of my nephew was a senior in high school in Austin. Now he started his freshman year at LSU. Dr. Brewerwood's son Blaze was a senior last year, and every time I spoke to them, they were like, you know what, we're safe, and we're able to actually spend more time with their family. And we missed out on prom and graduation, but we're moving forward and we're going to continue on to the next step. And I was just like, man, these kids, just their open mindfulness and their open hearts, and they were just like, let's just push through and make it to the next step.
And I think when you have good leaders, right? So you have parents or you have faculty, staff, or whoever that looks like that are leading the way and showing an unwavering front. I think it helps, right? Because I look back over my kids and they're 12, 6, and 2. And when I tell you, like, my son just jumped in and started wearing a mask, started doing what he's supposed to do, and he still carried on life. And what I wanted to do is make sure, hey man, let me make sure I shelter him, make sure that he's not worried about what grown folks are worried about. And I think that's what led to the students being so resilient. Like, hey man, look, we're gonna be okay. Every generation has had to face their struggle, their tragedy, their pandemic. So let's face this head on so we can be remembered for something great after it. I think that was the beauty of all of this stuff.
Right, and I think we were able to not only as parents, but as members of the Wildcat family, see it firsthand how it played out. Because all of a sudden, we were on campus one day, and then we couldn't come back for several weeks, several months. And then we were just so excited last fall to welcome our students back and to show them, you know what, we figured out a few new things. We're gonna start doing online classes or high flex or do dual classes where you can just watch me on the video whenever you need to. And I think it's opened up a whole new world to how people can continue their education and still get the college experience. And now we're excited to say and announce that this coming fall, we're gonna completely open back up, opening up more face-to-face classes, going back to our more traditional sports format. I was at the baseball game yesterday and it was amazing. So fun to be out there. Yes, it was just so nice to be out there around people. We were still wearing our masks and maintaining social distance, but people were just excited to be out in the fresh air, seeing these student athletes play. And I know that it's gonna be just that way in the fall for soccer and football and basketball as well.
Yeah, and Carrie, I learned so much about myself during this process. So I don't think that we realize how much we need that human interaction.
Sure, yeah.
Right? Because I mean, like, I like being alone. I like being by myself, but I also know, man, I need to be around people. I need to be talking to people. So there's some close people, man. Like, the people on this campus have helped me build those, like, helped me to see, man, it's okay. We're going to be good coming out of this. And that's what I was so encouraged about the Wildcat way, and how we stayed faithful in what we said we wanted to do and what we valued the most, and that was people. And man, it's just going to be great. Just imagine what it looks like in the fall whenever it's time for us to come back and experience everybody. I'm just excited to see all these students, right, that's going to come here on this campus, even some of them for the first time.
True.
Coming from high school for the first time, excited about the rest of their life. And there were so many people that have made an impact to help build this culture. We did not go backwards because of this. Like, I believe we improved here. Like when you mentioned a new way of doing classes, a new way of interacting face to face. Now we can see you on the camera. There may be some options to do that stuff too, right, going forward. So I think it helped us to build. But if we would have had this Debbie Downer mentality, stayed complaining, worried about when we're coming out of, no, we found a way to manage the time, manage what we could control, and found how to get better in the process. Right,
we were able to turn like those obstacles and opportunities, and we were able to see, you know, that right now, here we are a year later, and we are coming to the end of it, you know, like hopefully, I mean, of course we hope that everyone continues to stay safe, and we don't want to see anyone be impacted by this any more than they already have been. So I'm just looking forward to, you know, the spring happening, summer, and seeing the fall come to fruition, to see all these smiling Wildcats back on campus again.
Yeah, and Carrie, I think too, one of the things that's really, really important is, while we experience something coming out of it and seeing it firsthand and having to navigate and having to lead and having to learn, I think there were some people, and we would be remiss, or we would be foolish to not show compassion, right? To show, man, that we may not have had to experience that, but we can have empathy for it.
Sure, absolutely.
Because there's some people out there that are suffering. I'm talking about that hadn't had their jobs in a year, that have been living off of unemployment, and it's crazy. It would be crazy of us to not try to reach back, not try to comfort, not try to console or counsel those people and let them know, hey, look, we're here for you. We understand. We may not understand totally what it's like to be there because we didn't experience, but we're here to try to understand and try to be there for you.
Well, I mean, you work in the oil and gas industry. My husband does as well. Y'all have been affected by this in some way or another. I mean, you're considered essential employees, so you were working the whole time. But you know, my husband's company, they had to furlough a lot of people. They had to let some people go. They had to close down some locations, just trying to maneuver around this. It was a huge economical impact with this virus as well. So I mean, I'm looking forward to all that stuff start to blossom and kind of go on a 180 and move the other way, because not only were we like, this is a pandemic, it's a health crisis, we're nervous about that, but then I was also at home like, please don't let the oil and gas industry get affected by this, and we knew that it was going to come down the line at some point. So I'm kind of just looking forward to getting a sigh of relief. Do you know what I mean? I mean, as adults and as parents and as working family members, we're always stressed about something, but can't we just let this go?
Yeah, like for real, like I'm just ready for, like seriously, like, and I know we can laugh about it, but Carrie, like we need to, I'm looking forward to the normal or getting back to, even if it's not normal, I think we'd be better. Right.
Sure.
So not necessarily going back to how it was, but creating a better future, creating a better life, and I think we'll cherish the things that were taken away from us, right? So whenever we get back to work or we get back to school and we get back to doing the things that we say we love, we have a different respect for them now, because we see how fragile, we see how easily things can be taken away from us. So that's what I'm looking forward to, right? To see people more upbeat, see people more with more life in them, to say, you know what, I know what it was like last year. I'm not going back to that mentality. I'm going to be better going forward, right? So we definitely
don't want to go back to that place anymore, but I am proud to say that here at Pearl River, just like you said, we pushed through and persevered through it all. You know, we weren't going to like let this get us too down, and you know, we never let everything that was happening around us affect us here in our culture here on campus. And I think that's so important that we share that our Wildcat family was really able to come together. Even if we weren't all here, if we're at home and making Zoom calls or making appointments to talk to each other and say, hey, do you mind one-on-one? I mean, we started working together in the middle of the pandemic.
In the middle of the pandemic.
And we were both like, are you okay with this? And I was like, I trust you. I'm good. You have to get tested all the time anyway. So I was like, actually, it's a good thing for me. I don't have to go get tested. I was just with them. So if he's negative, then I am too. So I saw it as like a good opportunity, you know? So hopefully everybody else is looking at it that way as well. We learned some lessons, but we've fought through the battles and we're coming out of it on the other side. The future of industry is right at your fingertips, here within Pearl River Community College's career and technical education programs. You will become specialized in the skilled trades, applied sciences, modern technologies, and career preparation that will propel you to a position of power within your chosen field. Pearl River's CTE programs are fine-tuned to provide students with hands-on training and the skills necessary to succeed in the labor market. Technical education contributes a major share to the overall education system and plays a vital role in the social and economic development of our community and entire country. PRCC students will get opportunities for career success at our 4 convenient locations and will be trained to not only seamlessly enter the workforce, they'll succeed. Visit prcc.edu to register.
Yeah, and I think, Carrie, if there's no struggle, then there's no real progress.
Right.
I believe that this pandemic showed us what we were made of. And I can remember reading Dr. Brewood's message, and he talked about hammer down, right? Talked about being on the boat, and when things get rough, and you, hey man, don't get off the gas. You got to hammer down, and I believe that's what, like, I embodied some of that in my own life.
Right, sure.
Like, I didn't let myself be overwhelmed by the pressures of life and the pandemic and all the media and everything that they're saying. Like, can they hammer down on what you can control? Right. Focus on making a difference, making an impact in people's lives. And man, whenever you come out on the other side, you'll be better for it. So that's what's encouraging. I'm encouraged that we got a chance to work together all this year, and we built some relationships, built some friendships, built some partnerships that's going to carry us to the next level in our lives. And I believe we'll always remember where we were, how it happened last year, and what we learned from it, right? Right,
and isn't it going to be crazy, hopefully, in several years from now, we can look back at it as like a huge moment in history, but something that we were able to not only get through, but kind of like succeed at, right? As a Wildcat family, as an institution, we were able to overcome this huge obstacle together as a team and as a family. And I think that's just really a testament to our leaders, to our faculty and staff, and of course to our students. You know, I couldn't imagine, like when I was 18, being like, okay, you can't come back to campus and you have to go onto your laptop every day or Zoom me. I've been like, what? Zoom you? You know what I mean? So our students really deserve a lot of credit for it, right? Because they found, you know, the Wildcat way, and they were able to say that Wildcats never quit and push through everything, and because they wanted to work hard and succeed in what their endeavors were.
And that's so encouraging, right? You can be inspired if you think about some of the challenges these students had to endure throughout that process. And that's what I was encouraged. I got a chance to talk to some of them, and even whenever there was some rough spots that they were enduring and wondering why the season was canceled, they couldn't no longer play softball, basketball was over. Like, so I've had to hear some of those stories, but to see where they are today, like to see that, man, these kids really grew up a lot in a year. Something that probably would have never happened that fast, but you had to learn on the fly, you had to grow up on the fly, and you see that, man, I can overcome anything if we can come out of what we just came out of. So, man, these kids are going to be better. I think the parents, the teachers, whatever that looks like, we're going to be better going forward because of what we had to endure in the past.
Yep, so I'm just thankful that we've all stayed safe. We have so many students here that are on campus, and we can't, you know, we have our new dorms that are going to be opening up this fall. We have all kind of renovations happening to like Seal Hall, where all of our humanities classes are. So I mean, there are a lot of big things happening here on campus right now. Like, we have red clay everywhere from all of the construction going on, but everything looks so great so far. So we're really excited about it all.
Yeah, and I think too, Carrie, we go back to that piece about compassion, go back to that piece about understanding. Like, just take some time. If I was to say anything to leave somebody with, man, just take the time to understand somebody else's story, understand somebody else's plight in life, right? Because everybody, we're not as fortunate as we are, right? And it could have easily been us. in situations that
Right.
other people were in, right? So I think that it's incredible as a country, it's incredible as a nation for us to be where we are now. And while we lost so many people, and we don't never want to forget them, don't never want
Right.
to disrespect the fact that that people lost their lives during this pandemic. I just think that if we will be foolish to not learn something, we will be foolish to not grow closer together as a nation and be together on one accord, right? Hashing out the differences,
Right.
looking past what we disagree on and focus on what we are about and focus on what we do have in common. I think that's what's going to make us better going forward. So we can't forget that, can't forget where we came from, and we can't forget how we really, really needed one another
Right.
in the toughest times of our lives last year that most of us have never endured or never experienced.
And we hope to not have to go through anything like that again, right? I mean, as much as it's been a learning experience and we had to kind of fight through some difficult journeys and battles, I'm glad that we're going to the other side of it now. You know, I'm looking forward to ending this pandemic fully. You know, now that things are starting to open up, people are able to get vaccinated. I think that if anything, we've been so now ingrained with like hygiene and washing our hands so much, and you know, walking away from someone when you cough. Like, I didn't realize how little of that I did, you know, and especially with little kids, like we're all about washing our hands, but now I'm like, wash your hands constantly.
Yeah, and my kids, they will remind you now too, right? So we got better coming out of it. Like I ride with a bottle of sanitizer in my car. Before we eat anything, it's, hey, let me get that. No longer coming from the baseball field, just grabbing anything after you done shook somebody's hand and hugged them. Put this sanitizer in your hand.
It's crazy.
Let's go wash your hands and stuff like that.
So I mean, there were some good things that came out of it, right? Hopefully this will be like a prolonged effect of being continuing to put our health first. You know, I mean, I started taking like not only multivitamins, but like B12, you know, all kinds of different vitamin gummies, zinc, C. I was just, all of a sudden, I was like, actually, I like having these gummies every night before I go to bed. It kind of like something I look forward to. I was like, instead of dessert, you know? So hopefully everyone is trying to improve their livelihoods and their health standards for the prolonged future, and that can just help us going on.
Right, and Carrie, when you talk about health, it's so important because when you lose that, there's no amount of money that can buy that back.
Oh, gosh,
right? So make sure you're mentally where you need to be, physically where you need to be, spiritually where you need to be, and understand that those things matter the most. And I think we got a chance to see that firsthand, right? Because when you're sick and you're down and you can't do anything from a hospital bed, man, it's like real miserable. It's real depressing. So we need to focus on our health going forward for sure.
I think that was a big eye-opener, right? That of course no one wants to get sick, but then when you're sick and isolated, that's just a completely different factor. And that's really something that like our generation has never seen before. Not a global pandemic like that, where hospitals you could literally not go in if someone was really ill, you know? So we definitely don't want to have that happen anymore, or to anyone who has been affected by it, you know. Our best wishes are with you, of course, but we are hoping that as everything continues to progress and move forward, those numbers keep going down so that we can just keep opening things up and making sure everything's as safe as it can be for everyone.
And you and I were in a meeting with one of the administrators here not long ago. He talked about how he got sick and had to be isolated from his wife and his kid and what that did to him mentally, right? So I think that that's why this compassion and understanding that this pandemic affected different people in different ways, right? Everybody responds different. Everybody had to deal with a different set of challenges. So that's why this is so important for us to make sure that we learn something from it, we get better from it, and then we be better going forward as a people together from it, right?
And I think, and I know I keep saying this just to brag on our Wildcat family, but I really do think as a whole, from our administration down to the students, everyone has rallied together, you know, and tried to do their very best for the betterment of our whole college campus. And I'm just so thankful for everyone for really trying their hardest and coming in with their game face on, really, you know, to fight through no matter what, and for always trying to be as positive as possible and for helping each other out. You know, I mean, that's just really what our family is all about, right? Hoping for successful school and an institution for everyone.
And Carrie, what's amazing is the same things that I fell in love with whenever I was a student here, was some of the things that surfaced when this pandemic hit. Family, courage, pride, class, character, like those things were what keeps me saying I'll always be a Wildcat.
Right.
This will always be home for me, no matter where I go in this world. Because whenever I was a young kid coming to school here, man, I saw us rise to the occasion when things got tough in 2005 and Katrina hit.
Right.
And PRCC was a staple then.
Right.
For me in my life, right? And so still to this day, being back here almost 15 years later, it was like, man, this comes back full circle. This is why I'm glad to be a Wildcat.
Good. I'm glad. Everyone should be glad to be a Wildcat, and we want to invite so many more people into our Wildcat family this coming fall. We'll have like a whole new sea of faces here from, I mean, I was talking to people in Louisiana, all throughout Mississippi. We have a bunch of student athletes that have traveled from like England, Jamaica, all different continents and countries. So I'm just excited to have everyone return back in the next few months, and we can just kind of get things going, start having fun as a Wildcat family again. Yeah, and it's gonna be great. Fall is coming and we're gonna be ready. Yeah, well, thank y'all so much for tuning in to today's episodes of the Wildcat Way Show. Please subscribe and like to all of our social media pages and our YouTube channel, and listen to us however you listen to podcasts, whether it's on iTunes, Amazon Music, Spotify, or Stitcher, and continue to live your life the Wildcat way.